Hello everyone, how you guys doing? My name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World, what's happening? We're back after a brief hiatus last week. I was at actually the San Diego Comic-Con last week, so that's why I didn't stream. It was awesome. I spent way too much money and had a great time. so, uh, anyway, yeah, I was thinking of doing some videos from there, but I just wanted to kind of, decompress and just like enjoy, basically, enjoy my vacation. That's essentially what it was. I have managed to fool Comic-Con into thinking that I'm a professional, so I actually get to go for free. It's kind of awesome. Anyhow, thank you all for joining. Lusa Hedgehog, hey, how you doing, man? Thank you for joining. So today, this week, we are going to be talking about Christian nationalism again, because it's been in the news a lot. And there's been a couple of, whoa, that looks, something is not right here. That looks like shit, doesn't it? It's supposed to actually be a pencil. Okay, so why is it like a wacky pencil? Why am I having a charcoal pencil? I don't want a charcoal pencil. I want a regular pencil. Okay, anyway, that was weird. Christian nationalism is somewhat kind of on the rise, and that is because it's coming from, actually that looks bad too, the far, far right wing in this country has been radicalized very, very much over the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Things that that would ruin someone's political career 20 years ago go by without a hitch nowadays. And it's, the Overton window has been pushed far, far to the right, beyond anything that would be recognizable. Oh, okay. That doesn't look right either. This all kind of started. There's always been sort of like this undercurrent of extremism in the GOP and in the right wing in this country, right? That's always sort of been a thing, but the establishment types have usually managed to keep it, under wraps, and there was always a pretty good job of just sort of mobilizing these people when elections came, but then, pretty much ignoring them whenever, afterwards, right? And that sort of kind of shifted right around 2000, is when it started to shift. It shifted with George W. Bush and 9/11. 9/11 was a big shot in the arm for these types of extremist groups, right? Because before that, in the 90s, they were sort of on the wane. Through the 70s and 80s, things like militia groups, hate groups, white supremacist groups, stuff like that, were sort of ascendant, right? And then they kind of went a little too far. They, the Oklahoma City bombing with Timothy McVeigh really kind of turned public opinion against these types of people, right? And let's see. Let's try charcoal pencil medium. There we go. In fact, actually, wasn't this the one we were just using? It looked a little crappy, but yeah. See, it should be fading out. It's not fading out. Why is it not fading out? I mean, I think this is the one we want. It just looks a little. Maybe I can. Is there a fade here? Yeah, there we go. Fade. Let's do more. Let's try that. So, there we go. Still looks like shit, but okay. Let's try one more time. So let's put this at the maximum. Now what? A little bit better. I think we can use it. So, anyway, 9/11 happens, and recruitment for these people goes through the roof. White supremacist groups kind of start coming back a little bit. And then George W. Bush gets elected, Well, I guess he was elected first, and then 9/11 happens, right? And they sort of, when there's a Republican president, these kinds of groups sort of usually hang around in the background, although they were pretty, they were sort of like boosting their ranks and stuff like that for lots of different reasons, like, recruiting online, that kind of thing, using the hate and fear generated by 9/11 to their advantage. Um, and it was, but you started to see political candidates around that time. The establishment GOP types started to kind of embrace this just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. It wasn't anything that you could really measure, right? But started happening, and then it really kind of took off when Barack Obama becomes president, right? Barack Obama gets elected, and the GOP becomes overrun with far right lunatics, you know. But even in the early years of the Obama years, like, it still wasn't as extreme as anything close to what you would get today, right? People could still, for example, lose their election. Like, I remember there was a whole slew of Tea Party candidates that were just, like, laughable. People like Sharon Angle, for example. Another one was named Christine something or other, the lady who said I wasn't a witch. A few other ones like that. I can't remember her exact name. Christine something, you know. But you started to see this. You started to see these sort of far right-wing, insane, uber-Christian kind of Christian nationalists, essentially. They started winning, winning elections. They started, God, that still looks like shit. That should be a little sharper, don't you think? Like, maybe I just need to make this a little bit bigger. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, okay, that's tolerable. I think that'll work for now. So, but you started to see them win elections. You started to see them win primaries, number one, and then win elections. And then you had this sort of Tea Party wave in 2010, the 2010 midterms, right? And that was the first wave that got people like Ted Cruz elected, for example, and they started getting a little more mask off. Dude, what the fuck? Okay. I have like so many technical difficulties here. It's like I just spent the last half hour trying to get my fucking microphone to work. Right? So, yeah, I don't know what the hell happened in between like this week and last week, but something really went wrong with my computer here. It's acting funny, Like every time I stop, you notice how I stop and then there's like a pause, like I'll be drawing here, and then I'll stop drawing, and then there's like a pause, and it like pauses for half a second. Like, why the fuck is it pausing? Stop pausing. Anyway, so, God, that's gonna bother the hell out of me. It's gonna cramp my style here, guys, sorry. So anyway, yeah, there was definitely an uptick in the people who we would call Christian nationalists in government, right? And it just sort of got worse and worse and worse. And then when finally 2016 rolls around, they start becoming a little more mask off. Donald Trump comes out straight up, just doesn't deny the, the bigotry and racism.
The fact that Putin does everything he can to protect his people.
Okay. That's a mainstream GOP candidate who actually won her primary in 2020. Thankfully, she lost the election pretty bad. She lost to Chris Coons. But the thing is, she still got 38% of the vote, right? Which is, think about that, 38% of the people out there, let's turn this shit off, because fuck this book. But 38% of the people out there voted for that woman right there. After hearing her talk and basically, suck up to Putin, right? Putin is like probably, if you could name a supervillain that the United States is trying to fight against. It's Vladimir Putin, right? Vladimir Putin is not a friend to the United States. Never has been, never will be, and is actively seeking to diminish, if not destroy, our country. And here's someone trying to get a position in our government openly saying she supports Vladimir Putin over the President of the United States. That's exactly what she said. I support, I identify more with Putin than I do with Biden. That's what she said. And 38% of the people in Delaware supported her for that. 38% of the people there said, yes, I'm going to vote for that, right? Hive Science, I have slow mode on because there are, bots that come in. If you don't turn off slow mode, then a whole shitload of bots come in and start posting. So that's why I have slow mode on. Thank you for joining, by the way. I watch your show all the time, so thank you. It's cool to see you. Anyway, so, yeah, that's pretty fucking bad, She was, of course, a little bit about Warren Witzke. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to give you the Wikipedia article on Warren Witzke so you can go and look her up for yourself. So you can see that I am not making any of this stuff up. She is a QAnon supporter. She was endorsed by Nick Fuentes, right? We all know Nick Fuentes, the leader of, the America First sort of neo-Nazi group, right? Nick Fuentes, the white nationalist, anti-gay, anti-trans, essentially neo-Nazi who is also an incel and seems to have a thing for cat boys, right? Dude, this is fucking me up. You know what? I don't know why this is doing this. Like, what the hell happened to my computer, dude? Like, I leave for a week, I come back, everything gets fucking destroyed. How is this, like, seriously, what the fuck? Why is this thing not, like, working? Like, the shit was fine last week. Seriously, folks, I don't understand. I can barely draw with this. I don't really get why this is so... Fuck, I might as well just use the mouse. Because the pen tablet is... Like, see that? So I stop. I have to wait half a second for this to, like, recalculate or some shit. I don't understand it. I don't understand why this is acting so wacky. I mean, do I have too many windows open or something? Like, do I have, like... the computer should be able to fucking handle this stuff, right? Is it because some kind of clash with the fucking audio driver or something? I don't know. I am not a supercomputer smarty. This is bullshit. Anyway, getting back to the stream here. A little bit more about Lauren Winecki. Let's see. Political views, abortion. She, of course, opposes abortion. She has described Black Lives Matter as violent terrorists who want to stoke social unrest and literally already has blood on their hands. She said that COVID-19 is satanic and the vaccines are a satanic plot to cause mass death. Against immigration, not just illegal immigration, but also legal immigration. She wants to ban legal immigration to the United States, all legal immigration to the United States. That's the thing you'll get a lot with a lot of these people is that, here's the thing, right? You think like they'll come out, like, for example, your typical, right-winger type person, Christian nationalist person will say some shit like, we need to toughen our borders or something like that, right? And that's not something that you can really argue with, All right, you know what we're going to do, folks? We're going to search and reinstall the driver for this thing. But I will talk. I'll talk while I'm doing it. So if you see me not drawing for a few minutes here, that's what I'm doing. Because it's really fucking me up. So we're going to have to just bear through it. Anyway, so they'll say some things like, yeah, we really want to, we want to secure the border, right? That kind of thing. And, immigration should be legal and whatever, right? Blah 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 blah. And your average person will agree with that because that sounds like something that you should have. You should not have people entering the country illegally. The average person will agree with this, right? And then you start seeing things like, but then it starts leaking out. It's like, well, she's not just opposed to that; she's opposed to all immigration completely, right? Like all of it. And why would somebody be opposed to immigration? Like all immigration, right? What's the reason for that? I mean, the thing is, immigration is actually very good for your nation. Usually, the more people you have, right, the more like the larger your economy, right? The more demand you have for goods and services, the more jobs are generated because there's more people, right? Now, that's not, I'm oversimplifying it, obviously. Like, really oversimplifying that. But that's essentially it, you know? That's why places like California have much higher economy than, say, I don't know, Oklahoma, because California has 40 million people and Oklahoma has, 500,000. Right? I mean, yeah, there's like a million other. Oh, shit. There's a million other things involved there as well. I mean, there's also ports in California and industry and blah, 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 blah. But essentially, money goes where the people goes and vice versa. People go where the money goes. And it just sort of, that's what happens, right? And especially when you need labor, as we do in the United States, we actually need labor. People don't want to admit that, but that's true. There is more demand for labor in the United States than. Okay, we'll just do restart later. Plug this thing in. Let's see if that actually helped. All right, so I just installed the driver again. Hopefully this will. Let's see. Did it work? Let's zoom in a little bit. And let's go down here. Anyway, so why would they be opposed to all immigration whatsoever? Because there's a large, racist component. So much. Son of a bitch. It didn't do anything. God damn it. Alright, well, we're just going to have to suffer through it, guys. I mean, so this stream, I'm just going to be drawing like shit. Sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. It's fucking bugging the shit out of me. Just gonna have to live with it, guys. Sorry, folks. Yeah, you know what? It's weird. It's like none of the fade functions. I don't think it's using the right driver or something. I don't know. But every time I make a line, I have to wait like half a second. And then it has to like catch up or something. Right? And then like I could start again. And fucking shit. I should have tried. I don't know. Anyway. So that pisses me off. But anyhow, there's the link to her profile. You want to see how wacky this woman is. My point is that, as I was saying before, someone like this would have been laughed out of politics in, the early 2000s, right? The late 90s, the early 2000s. She would never have gotten past, city council member, if even that, She probably wouldn't have been able to get elected as a fucking dog catcher someplace, right? Especially not like at like a national fucking office, like, the Senate, right? Things like that would have been a death sentence to her, politically, right? And nowadays, not so much, because the Overton window has changed so much in the last, 20 years that it's just like shit is just fucking, completely, it's just so far pushed to the right. The GOP base has become so radicalized that people can say stuff like that, and it's completely acceptable now. And, why is that? Why is that, right? Well, it had a lot to do with, I mean, there's lots of reasons why that happened, having everything to do with, propaganda online from white supremacist groups all the way to who knows. We could spend like another 3 hours talking about the reasons why that should happen. But the fact is, that's where it is. That's where we're at now. You know, we're at the point where people like this not only can get elected, but can start passing laws which are taking away everybody else's rights, and we're forced to deal with the consequences, right? So, anyway, it's Christian nationalism, essentially, is what it is. That's what this person, you know, it's the rise of Christian nationalism. It's mask off, you know, God, fucking frustrating. So fucking frustrating. This piece of shit. Why does it stop working? Everything was fine last week. I don't understand it. Like, fucking program worked. My audio worked fine. You know, alright. Maybe you know what, like, see, I could just use the mouse and draw, and it becomes, like, so much easier. That looks like shit, though. Drawing with a mouse is sort of like drawing with a bar of soap, though. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so imprecise. Like, I mean, this works fine as long as I don't lift the pencil. Maybe I should just, like, not... I should just, like, try to draw without lifting the pencil. Right? Anyway. So that's annoying the shit out of me. Yeah, Christian nationalism. What exactly is it? Well, it is the idea that the United States was a Christian nation formed for and by Christians and only for Christians, and as a result, anyone who is not a Christian, the Constitution doesn't apply to you. That's essentially what Christian nationalism is. It's combining government with one's faith. With faith. It's theocracy, essentially. There is flavors of Christian nationalism. There's sort of Christian light nationalism, which is like, you know, the light version are the people that want to do things like, say, allow prayer in schools, right? You know, get rid of teaching evolution, that kind of thing, right? They want to. That's the small light, you know, even up to and putting restrictions on abortion and gay marriage and stuff like that. That's the light version of Christian nationalism, right? That's the version which is mostly used to be somewhat acceptable. You know, people could have those stances on those issues which are obviously informed by their religion, and then, like, still get elected. You know, even in the past, they would still get elected, right? The sort of, like, hard Christian nationalism which we're experiencing now is a little bit different. You know, the hard Christian nationalism are the people that say, well, if you're not a Christian, then you don't have rights. Constitution doesn't apply to you. And it also means the Constitution doesn't protect you from our religion. So when you say, you know, separation of church and state, this is one thing that these people really don't believe in, right, at all. They really do not believe in the separation of church and state, even though it's, like, practically all over the place in the in like the early writings of our constitutional fathers, you know, the founding fathers, and especially Thomas Jefferson, right? You know, the Treaty of Tripoli, stuff like that. So they don't believe that. They basically believe in a pseudo-history where, you know, the founding fathers created the United States only for Christians and had no one else in mind, when all available evidence says something else, you know, to the contrary, right? So anyway, these are the people that would, for example, since the Constitution doesn't apply to you, then you don't get freedom of speech. You don't get freedom of religion. You don't get the right to bear arms, right? You don't get your Fifth Amendment right to not have self-incrimination. You know, that's what the Fifth Amendment is. You know, when you take the Fifth, that means you're allowed to not say things which would incriminate yourself, right? Like, the government can't force you to incriminate yourself. The government can't force you to admit to a crime, or, you know, or admit to something which could lead you to be charged to a crime, that kind of thing, right? According to Christians, you don't have that. And what does that mean? That means that they can legally basically hold you until you confess. They could torture you if they feel like it, right? They can come in and take all your property, whatever, because you're not a Christian, so these rights don't apply to you. That's exactly the case, right? And this is exactly what, the history of Christian nationalism is also very much tied with the history of white nationalism. I mean, not the first person to notice that the Nazis in Nazi Germany were all Christians. They definitely used a Christian, Christian rhetoric and said that that's who they were. In this country, white nationalism definitely has a history with Christian nationalism. You look at the Ku Klux Klan and all of those groups. Did an entire stream on the history of Ku Klux Klan about last year sometime. It's a good thing to learn about, because they're essentially the rhetoric that they used in the late 19th century and early 20th centuries for the Ku Klux Klan is pretty much identical to what you'd hear from places like Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's group, or something like Nick Fuentes' group. It's like essentially the exact same thing, right? It's sort of uncanny how eerie and like similar it is. I mean, there was even a pro-German, pro-Nazi fascist group in the 1940s called America First, which makes me think, I mean, I'm not the first person to notice this, that's probably not a coincidence. The fact that Trump names his movement after a fucking fascist movement in the 1940s. Most likely not a coincidence, right? So, yeah, scary shit happening. One of the most prominent people here who are talking about Christian nationalism lately is Marjorie Taylor Greene, which is why I put her in the title here. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, has come out as a Christian nationalist. Here is a... Let me just go ahead and open up a CNN article. Copy this from a few days ago. I'll put this down in the chat for you guys if you want to read that later. But let's turn this on. Oh, wrong window. Nope, wrong window. That one. Pages. There we go. Nope, wrong one. That one. This is the thing I just posted down in the chat there. God, my stream is all over the fucking place today. Sorry, guys. I'm all fucked up. Whatever. Maybe we can salvage this. Okay. Opinion. Marjorie Taylor Greene's words on Christian nationalism are a wake-up call. So, very interesting stuff. Let's click the video, see what she's got to say. Oh, wait. Does that want to play? Actually, no, fuck the video. We're not going to listen to the video.
Professor, good to have you.
No, we're not going to listen to the video. Fuck off. Anyway, I'm not going to read this, but I do want to read this little bit right here. Right, that she said. We need to be the party of nationalism, and I am a Christian. I say it proudly, we should be a Christian nationalist, Greene said in an interview while attending the Turning Point USA Student Action Summit in Florida on Saturday. Turning Point USA, once again, is Charlie Kirk's group. They're the basically started out as a student group that would go around and support conservative groups on campuses around the country, and basically annoy people, on college campuses. That's Turning Point USA, and he's kind of turned it into a lobbying sort of a lobbyist political action kind of group. He basically scams people out of their money and holds rallies with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bobert and Louis Gohmert and other right-wing assholes into brainwash young kids into voting Republican. And also, Charlie Kirk has a really strangely deformed small face on a very big head. I don't know why. Anyway, so yeah, I say proudly we should be Christian nationalists. Her self-avowed Christian nationalism follows her claim last month that Christian nationalism is nothing to be afraid of and that the movement will solve school shootings and sexual morality in America. Do they have a video of that? I'm going to look that up because that video was kind of ridiculous. Was it this one? Come on, show me a video. Fuck you, of course they're not going to show a video. Anyway. Let's see. It was, yeah, she basically said that, Christian nationalism will like solve school shootings and a bunch of other shit, and it was like, get the fuck out of here. You know, if anything, conservatism actually causes that stuff. Let's see, is it this one? Claimed. Here we go. Here's her video on Twitter. Nope, shut up. Shut up. Okay. So here's her on Twitter. Let's listen to what the woman has to say.
If Christian nationalism is something to be scared of, they're lying to you. And they're lying to you on purpose because that is exactly the temperature change that is happening in America today, and they can't control it. They can't control it, and that's what terrifies them the most.
I think I'd actually showed this video before, but yeah, I just want to say it again. You know, it does terrify me the most because, yes, I can't control it. And when people like Marjorie Taylor Greene get ideas, funny ideas about how they're superior than everyone else and about how their religion should be dictated to everybody who doesn't believe it, that's a scary thing. And we should be scared. And we should definitely fight against it.
You see, if we're going to label it Christian nationalism, this movement will actually be the movement that stops the school shootings. This will be the movement that stops the crime in our streets. This will be the movement that stops the sexual immorality.
All right. So, Christian nationalism does not stop school shootings. So, this kind of makes you think that she doesn't really know what it means, right? She's thinking that this means that people will all be Christians, and of course real Christians will never go on school shootings. That's what she's thinking, right? Because she is, of course, an idiot. She has this idea in her head, right? Christians in general, of her ilk. I don't want to say she specifically because I don't know. But usually people who say the same kind of shit as she is now have this idea that real Christians don't do bad stuff. That's the idea in their head. So it's sort of that, you know, no true Scotsman kind of thing. Oh, and when you point out things like, say, well, you know, Christians, for example, get divorced at the same rates as normal people. They commit crime at the same rates as normal people. They do drugs at the same rate as normal people. They get abortions at the same rate as normal people. The response from people like Marjorie Taylor Greene is usually always, well, real Christians don't do those things. The no true Scotsman thing. Well, a real Christian would not get an abortion. A real Christian would not, you know, commit a crime. A real Christian would not lie or cheat or steal or you know, anything like that. Especially lie to get elected or lie to their constituents about things. No, real Christians wouldn't do that. No, those are obviously fake Christians who are being, like, you know, controlled by Satan or something. That's the response that she would give. So she thinks that if we just have quote unquote real Christians run the country, then all of these problems will magically go away because their policies will somehow prevent all of these things, which they never actually explain that, do they? They never explain, well, how will your policies, if you are a politician, right, and you're going to pass laws which are based on your religion, right, how is your policy going to stop school shooting? How's it going to stop school shooting? How? Right? Christians and conservatives are generally very much in favor of people buying guns. Are they not? They really usually want people to own guns. So there will be more guns. How is that going to stop people from taking the guns that you want them to have, going into a grade school and murdering 47 children? How is that going to stop that? Right? They don't have an answer for that. They don't have an answer because it's all bullshit. They don't have an answer because it's not actual serious policy. They don't actually have serious policy, like, you know, at all. Right? They don't actually have, like, solutions. You know, policy solutions, I guess is what I'm trying to say. At all. Because they've never actually thought through any of these things. They never actually thought. They just, you know, are just basically saying it because it's faith. In her case, it's faith. And somebody like Mitch McConnell, it's bullshit. It's like a, you know, a scam that he's running in order to just fucking milk people and get their money and get their votes. But in her case, it's faith. She's speaking from faith right here, is what she's doing. She's just believing, oh, well, if we just put God in charge, he'll mystically fix everything. Explain to me your fucking policy solution. You know, don't just tell me about it, right? How is Christian nationalism going to stop crime? Are you just going to execute everybody, right? Are you going to use biblical punishments? Are you going to stone people if they, like, do shit like, I don't know, disrespect their parents or whatever, like it says in the Bible to do, right? Are you going to, like, how are you going to stop crime, right? What? Or no, because it's not, there's no solution. She just thinks that if we put Christians in charge, then everybody will magically be Christian, and then real Christians don't commit crime. That's what they really fucking think. So, it's dumb as fuck. And the sexual immorality thing, I mean, don't even get me fucking started there, alright? Like, you know, in Tennessee, the Republicans passed a law basically saying that, you know, 14-year-olds can get married, right? Like, you know, they use children. That's the thing about conservatives, and especially, like, conservative evangelical Christo-fascists like Marjorie Taylor Greene here. They use children as a tool in order to rile people up and to get people on their side. You know, QAnon, all this stuff, save the little infant babies, you know. Fucking, we just want to save the children, that's why we're outlawing abortion and forcing you to fucking, like, obey our religion and shit. But in real life, they don't actually give a fuck about children. That's the thing that we need to remember. They don't actually care about children. How the fuck is your, you know, how the fuck is Christian nationalism going to stop, you know, what, sexual immorality? And who the fuck says what sexual immorality is? Like, what, anything that isn't basically approved by them is sexual immorality. That's what it really is, you know. That's what this whole thing, it's all about controlling people. You know, controlling women, controlling people. God, that looks like shit. But, you know, I'll improve this later. I'm just basically putting down lines here. Well, it doesn't look too bad. I'm just kind of filling shit in because I can't do the normal stuff with all the shading and everything here like I was before, because that doesn't seem to want to fucking work for some reason. I don't know why. I keep thinking maybe I have the wrong pencil selected. I don't know. Anyway, oh, here's my brush history. Pencil 2, basic. Fuck, I'll just try another pencil. Let's see. Oh, wait, it doesn't actually, when I go to select the pencils, the screen doesn't show that. That's weird. I don't know why. Why is that not showing that? Oh, it's because it just shows, oh, that's kind of bizarre. Okay, well, right now I'm trying to select a pencil. I don't know why it's not selecting an actual pencil. It should be doing it right now. But let's try, what is this? A brush? Sumi ink. Pen rough. Let's try pen rough. Let's see what this does. Anyway, kind of went off on a little bit of a, you know, tangent there. One thing that I thought was funny, well, actually, you know what? Let's listen to a little bit more, because we still have, Jesus Christ, another minute of this. Let's see what she's got to say.
And teaches children and brings them up in traditional families and loving homes. This will be the movement that protects kids' innocence and nurtures them into responsible adults that grow up to be successful moms and dads wanting to pursue a family of their own.
Protects kids' innocence. So that's a dog whistle there against anti-trans, right? The whole obsession that the right wing has with groomers nowadays, where they're completely misusing that term. It's hate and bigotry, essentially. It's basically just throwing some, God, that looks like crap. See, that was the thing. It's like now it's all shitty looking. Anyway, so it's very funny how the more Christian you are, the more you tend to be a bigot. Isn't that true? It's like the more Christian you are, the more you tend to like, you know, I don't know, discriminate against people based on their sexual orientation. You know, if this were the 1950s, I would say against race as well. And I'm not so sure about that anymore, although the racists do tend to also identify as Christian. There actually has been, in at least as far as I can tell, a little bit of an improvement in that regard. You know, like evangelical conservative Christians are not racist on the outside so much anymore, although I think on the inside, you still get a lot of like institutional racism from these people, especially when it comes to things like, say, education, right? But on the outside, at least, I think we've kind of made some progress in that regard, and they'll never openly admit to being racist, not so much, you know. But bigotry, you know, bigots against trans people, against gay people, against anyone who isn't essentially their, like, you know, ideal family unit, they're all complete. That's just like accepted nowadays, right? That's just like completely accepted, and not even just accepted. It's sort of like a point of pride. You know what I mean? Like Marjorie Taylor Greene is now selling Christian Nationalist T-shirts. That's true shit. Here's a article on that. I'll put this down. Actually, it was, where were we? Right here? No, we were here. Which one was she talking about? Christian Nationalism? Oh, wait. This is the same thing, isn't it? It is. Anyway, we were on that one. But, yeah, I will put this down in the chat for you guys. That article. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do it right now. Let's just go to, let's see, my streaming thing. Move this over here. Nope, shut up. Here is the article where she's selling her T-shirts. Right? That's ridiculous as hell. Anyway, let's continue with what she's got to say.
This will be the movement that finally does something about our debt, because it's something that all of us should be ashamed of. It should have never happened. This will be the...
Yeah, I spoke about that last time. I remember this. Won't spend too much time on it, but basically we have the national debt at $27 trillion because of Republicans. That's why the debt is so fucking high. Right, she's completely full of shit in that regard. Every time we have a Democrat, the deficit spending goes down. Every time we have a Republican, they cut taxes. Deficit spending goes through the roof. National debt goes up like fucking crazy. And that's the pattern that's been repeated ever since Ronald Reagan. She's completely full of shit. And I will take the Pepsi challenge with anybody out there who wants to debate otherwise, because the facts are on my side on that one. Moving on.
Movement that cares about broken and lost communities, communities that are always forgotten about. Christians should never forget about those people, and we don't. So while the media is going to lie about you and label Christian nationalism, and they're probably going to call it domestic terrorism, I'm going to tell you right now, they're the liars. And if anybody's a domestic terrorist, it's the radical left. They are the domestic terrorist. We could even say the Democrats are domestic terrorists because they funded them, and they burned down our city streets and rioted in 2020.
They burned down our city streets. How many fucking times did you hear that? Oh yeah, so the left are domestic terrorists, right? Because what? Because there were riots, because police were killing people. So we become the terrorists. So when people stand up for themselves against a violent police state, which is murdering people, that makes us the villains. That makes you a villain. If you don't like it when a cop just blows people away for no reason, you are a villain in her eyes, right? Well, let me what do you think? Let's say, for example, let's say George Floyd was white, and Derek Chauvin was black, what do you think would have happened? Right? What do you think would have happened? What do you think would have happened if there was a video that came out of a white cop, or sorry, a black cop, standing on the neck of a white cop who's begging, saying, "I can't breathe, I'm begging you help," begging for his life. Cop didn't do anything. The other cop standing around didn't do shit. Right. Just let him die. How do you think she would react? Do you think that she would be saying that, they're all terrorists? What the fuck is going on here? Why can I not see my thing when I try to draw? That doesn't make any sense. Man, my system is so jacked up here. I don't even know what the fuck's happening. Now I can't even see anything on the... Alright, let's make this bigger. I couldn't even see it at all there. That was weird. Anyway, do you think she would basically be siding with the police in that instance? No. No, she wouldn't. Okay. When right-wingers get angry, they get guns. Right? And, we have many examples of that. Not just the whole January 6th storm in the Capitol thing. We have the, extremely angry, basically right-wing fascists fucking invading the Michigan courthouse in 2020 because of mask mandates, right? Groups of fucking right-wing terrorists planning to, kidnap and murder the governor of Michigan over this, right? How many times have we seen that? How many times have we seen, angry mobs of right-wingers going into, school board meetings and shit like that, threatening people, Proud Boys, crap like that, going around beating people at protests, stuff like that, right? Resorting to, the right wing doesn't resort to violence. The right wing uses violence as their first tool. They don't the right wing doesn't say oh, violence is a last resort and blah blah blah. No. It's their first tool in the bag. The first thing they do is go and beat people up. First thing they do is go and death threats, threaten to murder people, right? Constantly. I mean, it's completely insane, and this is something that right wingers are very good at. Right wingers are very good at complaining when bad shit happens to them, and ignoring it when their people do horrible things. They're very good at that, right? They're very good at whenever somebody says something, like a politician says something even slightly remotely, remotely violent sounding, say for example when Barack Obama said kick them when they're down or whatever, or when the chant that that BLM would say pigs in blankets fry them like bacon, that kind of thing. They're very good on jumping on top of that and basically screaming and yelling like maniacs that, oh, the left wing is so violent. Right. Take a look at that Wikipedia page I just posted there of Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's an entire section where it says violent rhetoric. In fact, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do that. Actually, you know what? Well, how much time we got left here? Let's listen to the rest of this, and then we're going to take a look at her Wikipedia page, because there's only 10 seconds. Let's go.
So if we're going to put labels on people, we should put labels where they appropriately belong, not on Christians and not on people who love their country and want to take care of it.
Okay, enough of that shit. Christians do not love the country, at least Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't. But let's take a look over here at her Wikipedia page, right? Let's see, I just had it. There it is. Let's make this a little bit bigger. There's an entire section here, rhetoric involving killing of opponents. Right? So, just as, because she just basically said, oh, you have nothing to be afraid of. She just said, you have nothing to be afraid of, right? If you're afraid of Christian nationalism, then, they're lying to you. Anybody who says it's bad is lying to you. She just said that, right? In January of 2019, Facebook video, Greene said Pelosi is guilty of treason and that treason is a crime punishable by death. All right. Greene made the video to promote a petition she started on the We the People to impeach Pelosi for treason, a remedy that does not exist in the U.S. Constitution. Okay. I guess you can't impeach somebody for treason, you know. All right. I guess you can't impeach the Speaker of the House for treason or something. Due to her opposition to Trump's proposed border wall, as well as the alleged support for sanctuary policies, more than 140,000 people signed the petition. So, just that in general is scary shit right there. So this is that whole sentence. That's just the first one, right? She goes on. This is a sitting member of Congress. Sitting member of Congress in the House, House representative, makes a video that says that the Speaker of the House should be convicted of treason and given the death penalty, right? Because she opposed the border wall. Because she opposed a highly, highly controversial and unpopular policy that was not passed through Congress. She should be... Listen to that. Listen to that. Did she say anything like... did she say we should vote Nancy Pelosi out? No. Her first response was violence. The first tool in the shed these people have is violence, right? In February 2019, videos live streamed on Facebook, Greene visited Pelosi's office and suggested that Pelosi would either be killed or imprisoned for treason. And then she suggested that Representative Maxine Waters had also committed treason. 2018-2019, Greene's Facebook account expressed support for the execution of leading Democrats, including Pelosi, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, as well as support for the execution of FBI agents. You know the FBI agents that were investigating Trump during the Russia probe and all that stuff. That the right wing now hates the FBI because of that. All right, which is fucking hilarious. For example, in response to an April 2018 post asking, now, do we get to hang them, meaning HNO, Hillary and Obama, Greene's account reported, stage is being set, players are being put in place, we must be patient. This must be done perfectly or liberal judges would let them off. Greene did not deny the authenticity of the reported content, but stated the CNN article was focused on my time before running for political office. That teams of people managed my pages and that CNN had reported on content that did not represent my views. So, listen to that, oh yeah, I said that, but, you're misrepresenting me. And, even though I was like a standing, like, fucking, even though I'm a senator or a congressman and stuff now, that happened before I was in Congress, so it doesn't count. And of course she has a bunch of bullshit about conspiracy theories, blah, 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 blah. She's a fucking nutbag. But still, that's a sitting member of, the House right now. Right? The sitting member of the House telling us all how, she wants to put basically people in prison. She wants to, oh, wait a minute. Am I still streaming? I hope so. Okay, good, I am. She wants to execute people she works with. It's kind of unbelievable here. All right, let's go back to our drawing here. Sorry, the art part of this politics and art stream is kind of fucked up. But, we're working on it, folks. Anyway, so there was one more video I wanted to show of her because, she's on crack. But why don't we read some comments here first, and then we can talk about this. We can show this next video. What do we got here? Lewis the Hedgehog reporting in. Thank you for joining. Pony Throat. Does eating the blood and body of Christ count as vor? I was under the impression that vor is like you have to have your whole body swallowed, like by a snake or a fucking monster or something. Right? I mean, just eating like, I mean, I guess. I don't know. I guess whatever you're into. Good to see you, Punny Throat, by the way. Hive Science, Buzz, do you have the monkeypox? Me? No. I do not have the monkeypox. I am not scared of monkeypox. Monkeypox is not lethal. It sounds like a bad case of chickenpox. In fact, it's kind of similar to chickenpox, isn't it? Like that group of viruses, monkeypox, chickenpox. There's one called cowpox, stuff like that. You know, very similar in very similar viruses with similar effects. And especially since monkeypox doesn't kill you, it's like, all right, whatever. If I catch it, it sucks. But, I guess it's bad if you're old. If you're, like, really old or really young, obviously you don't want to get it. But, I don't think monkeypox is something we really need to seriously worry about. So, the thing is, if it's something that you think you'll encounter, you should go get vaccinated, And I don't want to belittle it too much because, obviously depending on your situation, you may have, other, you may have other complications, right? Other pre-existing conditions, which you don't want to you don't want that to interact with. So yeah, it's always not a good idea to catch something like that anyway. I mean, obviously take precautions, that kind of thing, and get vaccinated if you're in a high risk group. But I think normally, it's not something that I'm going to be like freaking out about myself. I mean, but yeah, I would get a vaccine. I would get a vaccine for it if it was available. We can barely hear you. Better now, thank you. Yeah, sorry. It was funny. Right before the stream started, I had a pretty cool like headset microphone thing that I used in the last stream, and it stopped working. And it was like, what the fuck? Why does this microphone not work? So that's why I had to start at 11:30, because I was going to start at 11. Microphone didn't work, and I had to basically spend half an hour trying to figure out why this shit didn't work. And so now I just switched to another headset. So I'm using a brand new headset, and that's why it was like kind of wacky. And now there's something wrong with my freaking pen tablet. Maybe I just finally need to bite the bullet and get a new pen tablet. But the shit's barely working. Like, so this is a pencil. See the pencil? And it's supposed to fade out and look like a pencil, and it does not look like a pencil. And it's what it is all of the pressure, pen pressure, is like busted. Like, what the fuck happened to the pen pressure? There's no pen pressure at all. It's just giving. I mean, the thing is, usually I like it like that, but this time I'm actually want to use the fucking pen pressure, and it doesn't work. It's like, what the fuck? Where's my fucking pen pressure? This is bullshit. Anyway, so yeah, I gotta figure. It says like if I go into the settings here, it says that it should be doing it. It should be giving me that sort of fade out. Like you want it to fade out like it's a pencil, right? But depending on what the pressure is on the pen, I don't know. It's not working. I gotta figure it out. So yeah, so I'm having all kinds of weird ass like, technical fucking mishaps here. Like I can draw for a little bit, but then when I stop, I have to like move the mouse around in order for it to. I was having these problems on my old computer before, and I don't think it's not a memory thing. Like this computer has like 5 times the memory of my last computer, and it's like actually way better. Like I just bought this computer like not even a few months ago, so it's obviously nothing wrong with my system. There's some kind of driver. I just installed the fucking driver. I probably have to restart and then it will work fine. But anyway, that kind of sucks. So I don't know. If it's not one thing, it's another, right, folks? So what else? What other questions we got here? Lewis the Hedgehog. Notice where there are more people, they usually vote blue. Yes, there are. It's kind of strange how that happens. Kind of strange how, like, when there's, more people, we kind of get actual, like, democracy. Like, and when more people are together, most people tend to be decent, That's the thing. Most people tend to actually want to be decent. They want to do the right thing most of the time. And it's you know, it's all based on your culture and your upbringing, blah 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 blah. And that's the thing about conservatives is that most conservatives I would not classify as bad people. You know, I would not say they're bad people. I would say they're misguided and fearful. There most definitely is a lot of bad people who are conservatives. Don't get me wrong. Lots of, racist people and white supremacists and bigots of all types and shades and colors, anti-immigrants, that kind of thing, that kind of thing. But I think for the most part, your average, say, like Republican voter, for example, it just wants to live their life and just wants to do their thing and just wants to have a job and like protect their family and go on vacation once in a while and be able to like put food on the table just like anybody else. They're just normal people. And a lot of the things that we're dealing with, they have to do with culture. This is why they call it a culture war. You know what I mean? Like, it's all culture war stuff, and it all comes down to really what it all comes down to is they want to tell you how to live, and they don't care what you think about it. They don't care what you think when it comes to your bodily autonomy, for example. They don't give a shit. It's like, no, we want to tell you, they want to dictate to you, what you are and aren't allowed to do with things like your own body. Now, we do need laws, obviously. Any decent society needs to have laws. They need to have a way for an authority to protect people who are not able to protect themselves. That's what laws should be for. Laws should be to protect people and to even out the playing field when it comes to things like economics and stuff like that, and business, whatever, regulations, etc., etc. And they should be done in such a way as to promote fairness and equity among every citizen. That's basically what laws are there for, to protect and, the general welfare. That's where that comes from, right? Well, there's certain things that, really don't have anything to do with that. These victimless crimes, right? Things like drug use, things like who's allowed to marry who and who's allowed to have sex with who and stuff like that really doesn't fall under that umbrella. How does, for example, banning interracial marriage, what does that have to do with protecting anybody, right? What does that have to, like, why would that be a thing that the government should be involved in? Like, how is it a crime that needs to be outlawed? Well, it's only a crime if you look at it through the lens of white supremacy, right? Kind of the same thing with abortion. Abortion is only a crime if you look at it through the lens of evangelical Christianity, if you look at it through a religious lens. If you look at it through a secular lens, like the country's supposed to fucking be, because we're supposed to be a secular country that, does not establish laws based on one's religion. If you look at abortion through that lens, then the rights belong to the mother, right? Because you don't have rights until you're born in this country. Not in any other aspect of law. You don't have rights until you're born. We covered a story last week, not last week, but 2 weeks ago about a woman getting a ticket in the carpool lane in Texas and then she said, well, because she was driving by herself, and she goes, yeah, well, my unborn child is my second passenger, and nope, cops didn't go for that. Why? Because you're not a person until you're born. You can't take people off your taxes till you're born. You can't, right? You can't claim them as a dependent till you're born. In Florida, did you know in Florida, if you are pregnant, right, and you're married, you can't get a divorce until the child is born? Did you know that? It won't be granted. You can file for divorce. It won't go through until the child's actually born. Why? Because you can't determine rights for a fetus. Like, the reason why, it's because of parental rights. You know, who gets the child? Well, you can't determine that until the child's born. Why? Because the child does not have rights. It's not a full person. So, yeah, that's how the law sees it. In every way except when it comes to terminating a pregnancy. That's the only fucking way that, you know, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, kids have rights to live and blah, 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 blah. They don't have rights everywhere fucking else. But here, in that one fucking, like, instance, that one area, their rights suddenly trump those of every, you know, of their parents, of their mother, or whatever. That only makes sense if you look at it through a religious viewpoint. If you look at it through a religious lens. If you're framing it through enforcing your religion on everybody else. That's the only... You know, it looks like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's really bugging the shit out of me. I don't know. I'm doing the best I can here. It looks a little shitty, but... Please forgive me, folks. You know, when you zoom out, it'll look actually a little bit better. See, like, it'll be like that size on the screen. You can't even tell. So right now we're just doing the heavy lines here. I'm not going to worry too much about details and stuff because the fucking pen tablet is giving me shit. Anyway, how did we get on that tangent? I don't even know. Lose a hedgehog. Thankfully, they were never able to build it. I think you mean Trump's wall, right? Trump's ridiculous bullshit frickin' vanity wall that would never work in the first place. Yeah, I'm glad they weren't able to build it. I mean, they built pieces of it, but those pieces were pathetic and easy to get over. Like, what, those metal slats or whatever that, like, are already falling over. You know, that kind of thing. Like, and basically, I mean, here's the thing with a border wall, right? All you need to do is just get, you know, if you have a 30-foot border wall, all you have to do is get a 31-foot ladder, and now you're over the wall. And, like, I mean, yeah, okay, it'll stop some people, I guess. You know, it'll slow it down, maybe. You know, if you're really serious about immigration, if you really wanted to stop, like, you know, illegal immigration, right? You know, from south of the border, if you really wanted to stop that, you would enforce laws that say you're not allowed to hire undocumented people. You would enforce that, right? They could stop it overnight if they really, like, felt like it. They really could. They could just go to every farmer and be like, okay, you get caught hiring an illegal immigrant, you get 20 years in jail. Bam. It'd be over. It'd be over. And if there were no jobs for these people, they'll stop coming, right? They don't do that. You notice that? You know, and it's not like, it's like farmers, it's places like car washes, stuff like that, restaurants in big cities, obviously. Domestic work, you know, housekeepers, that kind of thing. Large number of housekeepers in the United States are actually undocumented immigrants, right? The meatpacking industry is notorious for hiring undocumented labor. Like, something like 80% of all of the workers at meatpacking plants in the United States are undocumented workers, immigrants, right? So they know where these people work. And, you know, if you wanted to stop it, that's how you would stop it. You would just go to a meatpacking plant, you'd hire, you know, what you would do is you would enforce existing laws and then pass a couple new ones and just start throwing people in prison for hiring, you know, illegal immigrants. That's how you would undocumented immigrants. They don't want to do that. You know, and even when Republicans are in power, they don't take those steps. It's because it's a non-issue. It doesn't matter. And they use illegal immigrants as an election like issue, like a wedge issue. They use it as a wedge issue in order to get elected. They never put any, I mean, they could crack down on it and stop it, you know. In the meantime, at the border, you know, like what do? Is they do things like child separation, shit like that. Stuff like that, which is like overly cruel and unnecessary. You know, here's the thing, right? You can't just grab somebody that comes over the border. You can't just grab them, throw them on a train, and like deport them overnight. The law says you have to give them a trial. Everybody who comes over like illegally, like has the right to defend themselves in a court of law. You know, because and this happened, you know, because it could be that that person is actually here legally. They actually do have a green card, you know. They actually do have residency, whatever. And that happens all the time too. American citizens get caught up in the immigration, you know, they get caught up in the immigration system because fucking ICE is like racially profiles people. Right? And you know, you get the wrong guy sometimes. That happens all the time. All the time. You know. So it's like, yeah, it's messed up. It's like, it's a problem. I'm not, you know, that's the thing, is I'm not going to say that, you know, illegal immigration is not a problem. It definitely is a problem. And it shouldn't be happening. I mean, ideally, you don't want people coming over the border, you know, who are undocumented. Right? It's just a bad idea because you don't know who they are. I mean, there is, and here's the thing, right? I will capitulate a couple of points to the right wing. There are drug dealers and stuff that come over illegally. I mean, how do you think drugs get into the country? Right? How do you think things like cocaine and like, you know, meth and all that shit? Well, I guess they just make meth here in meth labs, but things like cocaine and like, you know, heroin and all that, you know, they don't grow heroin in the United States. How does it get here? They don't grow cocaine here, right? How does it get here? It's not so much, you know, that's the thing, marijuana not so much because it's legal in a bunch of places. So, you know, they still do smuggle in marijuana over the border because it's still illegal in certain states. But, you know, now it's things like meth and like fucking coke and heroin and all this other like other shit that the cartels have switched to, you know. How do those things get over the border? They get over the border. They're smuggled in by drug mules who come over, you know, illegally. That's true, you know. It's not. That's the thing, is that, you know, not everybody who comes over the border is a drug mule, but, you know, most of the people that come over the border are just looking for jobs, right? But, you know, to like make their lives better. But to try to say that it's not a problem with illegal drug smuggling, I mean, definitely is a fucking problem, right? I'll capitulate that. You know, I'll capitulate that people come to the United States who are illegally, who are not always the best people. Who are, sometimes you get criminals, right? That doesn't change the fact that, you know, if we really want it doesn't change the facts that most of the people that come over here are just looking for a better life. That most of the people that come here are just normal people looking for work. And if they had work in their countries where they were, they'd take it, right? If they didn't have drug cartels and shit trying to kill them because of the fucking drug use in the United States, right? Like, they'd stay where they are in their country. Nobody wants to go to another country just to survive. Imagine if you had to do that right now. Imagine if you know, you live in North America and you weren't cutting it, and the only way you could get a job was to go to, like, you know, Ecuador, and you had to fucking walk there. Would you want to do that? Does that sound like a good idea? Does that sound like something that's going to be fun? Right, that you're looking forward to? Not really. It's all bullshit, folks. Like, it's all bullshit and fear, and, you know, the right wing using these people to spread fear and hate and to ultimately get elected and get power, so that they can, like, you know, put in a fucking Christian theocracy and you know, because they think Jesus is going to come back riding a dinosaur with a shotgun one day. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so fuck the border wall. Let's see, where were we? It was a hedgehog. What if they get their way and things still don't work out? And they probably won't. They'll just look for someone to blame. Real leaders don't act like that. That's what would happen. What you just described right there, is exactly what would happen. They would take over, right? Let's say that the United States suddenly gets taken over by Christian fascists. Marjorie Taylor Greene becomes president. Let's imagine this nightmare scenario where this happens, right? They start passing ridiculous laws left and right. Non-Christians can't vote. Non-Christians aren't allowed to own guns. Non-Christians aren't allowed to have, a Fifth Amendment right. All of these things. Non-Christians don't have freedom of religion anymore. Everybody's forced to be a Christian, right? Let's imagine this all happening, and then they start throwing people. It's not gonna change. Even if we did live in a theocracy, look at Iran, right? People use drugs in Iran. It's a problem. Kids fucking drug use in Iran is the same rate as it is in the United States. People smoke weed there all the time and do heroin and all kinds of shit, and ecstasy, that kind of thing, because they're normal people. They're just people, and kids want to party when they're kids, and so you have drug addicts and shit in Iran the same way that you do here, right? You have crime in Iran. You have all kinds of stuff. They live in a fucking fundamentalist theocracy, right? Same kind of, but now they have additional problems of religious laws that they have to fucking enforce too. Imagine all the problems you have today, all the problems our society has now, but also it's illegal for a woman to walk by herself. Imagine that. Imagine all the same shit. Jobs suck, environment's all fucked up, right? Crime all over the fucking place. People are just fucking dicks to each other. But then also, if you're a woman and you go outside without a male escort, you go to prison. Imagine that. Imagine all of the problems we have now, but divorce is illegal. So then you have people running away from home, changing their names. Women escaping abusive husbands who could, if they do that, go to prison. No more of, honey, I'm taking the kids and going to my mother's. No, over with. Cops show up, drag your ass away if you try to leave your abusive husband that beats the shit out of you every night. Imagine that, right? Imagine not just going to prison for getting an abortion, but being executed, right? Woman's pregnant. It's an endemic pregnancy. She's going to die. She gets a back alley abortion somewhere. The police get involved. A year later, she's in the electric chair, along with the doctor that saved her life. That's what Christian nationalism would lead to. Okay? That's what it would lead to. Imagine, being forced to attend Bible study when you're in school, right? Imagine bootleg copies of movies and stuff that have, somebody going back and editing out all of the bad words out of movies. Things like Pulp Fiction. Try to imagine Pulp Fiction without any profanity in it. What kind of shitty-ass, ridiculous movie would that be? Right? Somebody going back through, editing out all the nude scenes, all of the bad language, anything that's not approved by a morality council, right? Imagine you're an artist. You paint something that's a little bit too controversial. You painted a model and there's a half a nipple showing, and you get fined, and your art gets destroyed, or you're put in jail for indecency, right? Because of something that you painted, or a record album you made, or possessing contraband files on your computer. What are those files? Movies and music from I'm not even talking things like pornography. I mean, all of that shit's gone. Pornography, and the end. That's it, right? Of course, people would still make pornography. I mean, you'd see it in other countries. You'd be able to access it through Tor, stuff like that. But, if the morality police catch you, you might find yourself in a prison for, indecent, I don't know what, fucking morality stuff. Thrown in prison for fucking, masturbating, right? I'm proud to say I watch porn. I enjoy it. Fuck it. You know why? Because I'm a normal person. Normal people like to masturbate. I masturbate all the time. I'm even married. I masturbate. My wife masturbates too. I actually found her hidden secret Reddit porn account. It was awesome. We watched it together. That's what you get to do when you're married. Right? Imagine doing that. Imagine being with your wife or your husband or your significant other, right? Which will be of the opposite sex because no more gay marriage anymore. That'll be gone. And, enjoying some, maybe DVD or maybe a file that you downloaded off your computer or something. Maybe it's something called Romancing the Bone or whatever, or, some kind of lewd, horny movie. And then the next day getting a visit from the cops who said, hey, we detected this on your screen, right? This is what Christian nationalism will lead to. This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to turn the world into, right? Let's not make any let's not try to bullshit ourselves into thinking the world would be a better place if these people weren't charged at all. No, not even close, not in the slightest. They'll do it too. They'll do it with a smile on their face as they stab you in the back and take away everything, right? That makes this country great. What makes the United States great is freedom. And that is something that you should be able to agree with if you're on the left or the right. The fact is you have rights in this country. You have freedoms in this country. You're allowed to believe what you want. You're allowed to say whatever you want without going to prison, right? No one is allowed to tell you what you can say or what you can't say or what you can believe and what you can't believe. At least not the government-wise. People are allowed to react to what you say. That's not the same thing. Somebody kicking you off of Twitter because you're a raging fucking Nazi and shit is not the same thing as the government throwing you in prison for saying something they don't agree with. And that's the great thing about the United States. Not every country on earth has that. Iran does not have that. You don't have freedom of speech in Iran. In Saudi Arabia, you don't have freedom of speech in Saudi Arabia. You can be beheaded in Saudi Arabia for being a pagan, for being a Wicca. They say they call it witchcraft, right? Because they fucking think magic is real over there for some goddamn stupid fucking reason. Magic is not real. But you can go to prison and you can be executed in those countries for black magic. You don't have freedom of speech in those countries, right? North Korea, you don't have freedom of speech in North Korea. You don't have freedom of assembly in North Korea. You don't have, freedom to not self-incriminate in North Korea. In Russia, you don't have that freedom. There's, you don't have the freedom like your Fifth Amendment. There's no Fifth Amendment in Russia. They can basically force you to fucking, admit crimes. Basically fucking torture you and shit. And that's it. You don't have a fucking choice. Too bad, right? You barely have a freedom of speech in Russia. Barely. I mean, officially you do. You speak out against Putin, he'll have you fucking, murdered, right? There's, freedom of the press in Russia is, that's not a thing. It doesn't exist there, They're not even Soviet, and this was a thing during the Soviet era, but now even under Vladimir Putin, which they're supposed to be, capitalist and shit. No, it's like a dictatorship there. Basically, Putin fucking murders people. His political opponents and stuff. He poisons people with fucking polonium and shit like that, right? So, lots of other countries on this planet don't have the luxuries of having rights like we do. And this is what makes America precious, right? The fact that we have these rights. That you can make a living in the United States most of the time. If you work your ass off, you can actually attain something here. It's difficult as fuck. It used to be easier, it seems 50 years ago, seems like it was way easier. But it's still possible. It's still possible, and it's because you have these rights. Because you have, the right to self-actualization is what it is. These people will take that away in a heartbeat, and that's what makes Christian nationalism wrong. Anyway, guys, I know I started late today, but I'm gonna end a little later, so it'll be 100 and it'll be an hour and a half instead of 2 hours. I'm sorry, but you know what? The stream is all fucked up. Audio's fucked up. I can barely draw, so I think it might be better. But I don't know. I will be back. I'm going to start. I'm going to try to my new sort of like mid-year resolution is to actually do more streams in videos. And I just noticed that this guy's head is way too big. Look how fucking big his head is. His head is like gigantic. I have to like shrink that. So I think I'm also going to start. I'm going to open a Twitch account, and I don't know how that's going to work. Whether I'll stream on Twitch and put it on YouTube, or maybe I'll just do like different streams on Twitch. But I don't know. But I'm going to do that too because I want to like actually start growing this channel and stuff. You know, and get some more audience members and that kind of thing. Because you guys are great, and I love you all, and thank you all for coming so much. I really appreciate it. But, you know, I just think I could appeal to a larger audience as well. Pony Throat, I wish you read the comments more. Oh, well, you know, I figure, you know, if I had more comments, I'd read them. But, okay, I'll read your other comment, though. The 15th century Islamic Abbasid Caliphate had the right idea about divorce. Really? What's their idea about divorce? I did not know. 15th century, you know what? Since we're here, I'm going to look that up because I don't know what that was. So, 15th, let's see. How do you... Abbasid Caliphate. I know, Caliphate divorce. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I know that in, like, traditional Islamic law, all the man has to do is say, I divorce you 3 times. Right? And then, you're divorced? Let's see. Women were more often involved in divorce. Let's see. What is this? Women before the whatever. Control F. Divorce. Oh. Is it letting me look? Not searching for that. I'll have to look that up. I'm looking and I don't see anything jumping out immediately. But I will look up the 15th century Islamic Abbasid Caliphate ideas of divorce there, because it's looking like from the few comments I'm seeing here on Google that women had more rights under that. Pony Throat, the man says, I divorced you 3 times, and then Candyman appears and murders the wife. Yeah, right. But I'll look that up. I'll look that up, Pony Throat. Anyway, guys, yeah, why don't we go ahead and end this. Thank you all for joining me during my train wreck of a stream today. What can I say? It's you know, next week will be better. But I think I'm gonna try to do something on Twitch this Wednesday, maybe. I will put like a notification on the channel if any of you guys want to come over there and watch me. And if it goes well, maybe I'll post it to YouTube as well also. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Also, let's see here. Also wanted to let you guys know if any of you are out in Los Angeles, I'm going to be appearing at the Power Morphicon convention here in it's in Burbank, or sorry, it's in Pasadena. Power Morphicon on August 26th to the 28th, so I'm going to have a table there, and here's a link to it down in the thing. So if you guys want to, if you're out in Los Angeles, anybody, next at the end of the month, next month, come visit me. I'll be selling prints and stuff like that, you know. And then I got to do my ending stuff here. So thank you all again for joining. But let me just turn on my other monitor. Nope, wrong one. I keep turning on the wrong one. There it is. So if you guys like what I do and you want to see more, I have another YouTube channel called UCD Videos, which I have not really done much with lately, but Got lots of plans. This is you can see me talk about like toys and video games and stuff. I have an SD shop, which I need to actually go to my shop manager here. This is my SD shop. You can if you want to support me with monetarily, you can buy like, you know, prints and stuff like that here. I'm gonna have 2 more new ones here at the end of the month. I'm working on a few. I have a webcomic. It has talking ducks. It has people getting punched in the face. It has ninjas in it. So check out my webcomic at hwanja.com. And if you want to see more of my artwork, you can check me out on DeviantArt here. This is DeviantArt. I usually put up, you know, everything that I draw on the channel and otherwise here. This is actually some fan art that I did for a guy, which I actually liked. So, and I also post my webcomic on DeviantArt as well. So please check me out and all of those places. Thanks a lot, you guys, for coming. I really appreciate it. Lewis the Hedgehog, great to see you as always. Pony Throat, great to see you as well. Hive Science, thank you for watching, man. I watch your stuff all the time. Hive Science is cool. Lewis the Hedgehog, oh, I already said you. Well, yeah, well, you're great. Thank you again. Everybody else who joined, and next week, for sure, next Saturday, I'll be here at 11, hopefully with a much better working setup. And this Wednesday, Twitch, I will be sending out notifications. So thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you later.